Podcast Episode 5, Criteria Questioning, the Secret Language of Career Development Interviews and Persuasion. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Stephen Young, author of Brilliant Persuasion, which you'll find on Amazon. Please check it out and own your copy. This is Episode 5, and today we're exploring criteria questioning technique, one of the most powerful yet unacknowledged techniques in communication, influence, and persuasion. This episode is for you if you're currently job hunting, seeking a promotion, preparing for a career transition, or improving your professional conversations. You're probably wondering what criteria questions are. A criteria question assumes people already know what matters most to them. It's based on the idea that everyone has personal standards or values guiding their decisions. Criteria questions are powerful presuppositional questions, beginning with the word what. For example, what's important to you about X? What's the most important thing to you about Y? In an interview, a candidate might be asked, what's most important to you about this opportunity? Or in a promotion discussion, what's important to you about leadership opportunities? In a coaching session, the client might be asked, what's most important to you about achieving this goal? Followed by, how will that make you feel? And then, what's important to you about feeling that way? These questions help surface people's internal filters for decision making, whether exploring new roles or navigating day-to-day professional conversations. Recognizing when you're being asked a criteria question helps you respond with sharper, more relevant answers. It also alerts you that the interviewer is probing what truly matters to you, or how you have uniquely interpreted what mattered most in a past situation. Choose your words carefully. A sharp interviewer may catch contradictions if your later answers don't align. From a psychological point of view, once you state your criteria out loud, those values become more emotionally salient. Later parts of the conversations that reflect those values will feel more persuasive to you, but if you contradict yourself, it will stand out. Be aware. Criteria questions may seem open and friendly, but they're often designed to reveal whether your core values align with the role. A careless or overly candid answer can be hard to reverse, especially if the interviewer revisits your earlier responses. So you should always stay authentic and alert. Here are a few real-world examples if asked a criteria question. If you answer with professional growth and learning new skills, the interviewer will assess whether the role offers that. If you answer with work-life balance, but the role requires long hours, they may see a mismatch. Sometimes, being too forthright without understanding the role's expectations can hurt you. For example, if you say the most important aspect of a leadership role is control over the department's direction, unaware that the company wants collaborative leadership, that will create concern. So, as a candidate, it's vital to recognize criteria questioning traps. Interviewers often revisit your earlier answers to test for consistency. For example, an interviewer might say, earlier you said X when I asked about Y, but later you said Z. Can you tell me what was important to you about your first answer in relation to your last? You're now going to say something like, what I meant to say was, and that's not a good situation in which to find yourself, is it? If you're not careful, you may give answers that signal a mismatch or expose a bluff. Here are a few coaching tips for candidates. Be authentic, but contextual. Understand the realities of the role before answering. Be prepared for spiral-style follow-up questions. Don't bluff, as the interviewer might circle back. If you're caught off guard, pause and recalibrate. Let's look at how some interviewers use criteria questions strategically. Executive recruitment interviewers, Hiring managers and directors don't usually ask multiple criteria questions in a row, as this makes the technique too obvious. Instead, they use subtle lead-ins, like, "Something you said earlier got me thinking. What's important?" A colleague and I were discussing this recently and wondered what you thought was important, or, "In your first interview, when you said X, I found it interesting. What's important?" These setups, and there are many, allow the interviewer to probe more deeply without sounding scripted or repetitive. It also helps assess consistency. If a candidate was bluffing earlier or hasn't thought things through, this tactic usually graphically exposes it. Here are a few more advanced uses of criteria questioning. Executive interviewees should expect multi-layered, conflicting criteria questions. You may need to resolve competing business values and show how you prioritize strategically. If you're a sales professional, it's worth remembering. The way you answer criteria questions in an interview often reflects how you'll manage clients in the real world. It may reveal to the interviewer that you think consultatively and demonstrate that you don't just respond to questions. You know how to ask them to uncover buying motivations and tailor your approach to build trust. Behavioral interviews. Look out for criteria, follow-ups. If you explain a past success, be ready for the question, what was most important to you about that achievement? Closing thoughts. Whether you're a job seeker, a hiring manager, a coach, or an executive recruitment consultant, understanding criteria, questioning gives you a real edge. It's one of the cleanest ways to uncover motivation, reveal values, and test alignment. If you're a candidate, be aware. If you're an interviewer, use them wisely. If you're a professional communicator, add them to your toolkit. Here's an example of how to avoid answering an awkward question using a criteria question. A friend once told me a story about a life coach who was presenting to aspiring coaches. During the question and answer session, someone asked a tricky question, not expecting a good response. The speaker smiled and said, "Thank you for asking that question. It's important to you. Please tell me what's important to you about my answer." Seriously not recommended as an interview answer. This episode doesn't come with a traditional worksheet. Instead, we've created a real-world style interview extract that shows how a senior interviewer subtly uses criteria questions and presuppositional questioning to direct an interview, uncover motivations, and test alignment without the candidate ever feeling cornered. It's followed by a detailed breakdown that reveals the structure behind the dialogue, showing exactly how each question works, why it's effective, and what it reveals. It's available to download alongside this episode. You'll find it in the comments section. It's perfect for preparing for interviews or conducting them. Thanks for tuning in to episode 5. Until next time, keep asking the right questions. Keep listening, learning, and getting brilliant at persuasion. I am Stephen Young, and I'll see you in episode 6.